All right, thank you for staying and listening to this town hall. I'm John Henneke. I'm a member of trustees, and we're in the process of putting the 2023 budget together. It's been approved by the trustees, and the next steps are to present it to the congregation and to just discuss anything that you wish to know about it. After Melanie's sermon here about the church that she belonged to failing, I'm really kind of a little bit nervous here about presenting this budget today, but we'll move forward here. Kent Ryan was on a subcommittee of trustees, and he and some other members put together this slide presentation that we're going to see today, and he wrote a letter and sent it to you all, and I think you all got it in the mail possibly. If you haven't, I'm going to kind of read from it here really quick. Dear fellow First Congregational members, we have faced several challenges the last few years. Through COVID, the derecho, and a capital campaign, we have faced those challenges together, and we are better for it. To be sure, each was a different challenge, but we worked and lived through each as we do best, with faith, hope, and love for one another at the center of our decisions and actions. The result of those challenges is that we are closer with one another. We've made several improvements in our physical space, and more people are choosing to make this their church home. We celebrate these successes. As the end of 2022 draws closer and we consider the coming year, we face another challenge. Our projected budget for 2023 includes a significant deficit. Some of that deficit will be covered through our endowed funds, but it won't be enough to cover the entire deficit. The Board of Trustees met recently to discuss and plan how we can best navigate our way through this challenge. The next step in the process is to communicate details about the budget and the plan for moving forward. This information will be shared at a town hall, which is right now, November 20th. This information will be shared, followed by a time for questions and answers. And then moving forward, the following steps, December 4th will be Pledge Sunday. And then later in December, we'll have another town hall to discuss the outcome of the pledge campaign and how to move forward with the budget. And then on January 8th, we'll have our annual meeting to actually approve the budget as a congregation. And then Kent says, as we work together to work through this familiar challenge, I hope and pray we face it the same way we have faced previous challenges, with faith and hope and love, and no doubt we will. Sincerely, Kent Ryan. So thank you, Kent, for those words, and that leads us into the slide presentation here. So the purpose of, obviously, of this meeting today is to share details of the proposed 2023 budget, and Chuck has copies of the budget up here that you can take with you after this meeting. And we're going to share a plan for dealing with an anticipated deficit and to discuss any questions that you may have. Put it into context here, as Kent said, we've been through some things. We are, however, in pretty decent financial shape right now. My concerns and the concerns of the other trustees are that it's kind of normal for our church and many churches to have a deficit in a budget. And our savings, our endowment, the investments that we have, the interest that we make off of that each year usually helps cover that deficit. This year is a little bit of an exception. I think we're a little behind on that, primarily because everybody knows what's happening in the stock market right now. It's lost a lot of its value, obviously, and we are not immune to that. So moving forward, our projected budget for 2023 has a significant deficit to it, and I'm not really sure we have. Let me check this next slide here. Some of the major expenses of the budget that have kind of helped increase the budget for this year are salaries, as you would expect. These are kind of the four big points of our budget: administrative costs, the building expenses, and our programming. We've made cuts where we could this year. Chuck was very involved in kind of trimming things as best we could to get it down to a reasonable budget. And let me see what's next slide here. So staff, we have agreed to give the staff an 8% increase in their salaries. This has been a planned kind of staged or step in increasing salaries over the last couple of years. This is just that next step to get Melanie into the salary range that is expected for a church of this size. And I think we're on a path for that now, and this next step really gets her kind of right about where we were hoping she could be. And with that, we've increased the other staff members as well. And it says, why 8%? I don't remember why 8%. Everybody hear that? To keep up with inflation, the way it's been progressing this year, 8% seems like a reasonable amount to keep in that, to keep up with inflation and keep in the same ballpark as we were. So, okay. And that 8% salary increase added about $7,800 to the budget. Seems kind of insignificant, but we're trying to manage every dollar here. So. We had some administrative increases of $2,400. Do you remember? Right off the top of my head, I should know exactly what that's for, but putting Chuck on the spot here real quick. The software? Okay. The software expense to update our accounting and communication with the church also. That was our administrative costs increasing. We had some decreased costs in the budget of $6,000 where we've decreased our contribution to outreach. The worship budget looks like it stays the same, but there's a caveat. Do you know what the caveat is? Can't mind read Kent? Okay. From what we had budgeted for 2022, we had money in there for a second worship. We've eliminated that. Okay. Next, the building budget increase. We're looking, obviously now we have a new parking lot. We're going to have to maintain that parking lot. So we've budgeted for some snow removal and some additional upkeep for that as well. And utility costs have gone up, so we've had to account for that also in the budget. Next slide. The expenses. Total increase for the budget expenses are $23,000. It seems really insignificant, but the difference is we actually have, let me back up this building expenses. Excuse me here. Okay, next slide. It shows okay, the building budget increased by $19,000 for a total of $23,000. Okay. Sorry? Yep. We're gonna wrap this up real quick here. Yeah. So where does our income come from? Obviously from giving from our members and interest from our investments. We get income from Verizon and also from the Boys and Girls Club. That's going to help offset some of our deficiencies here. Next, we also, the main income that we receive, obviously, from our charitable pledges. We have some non-pledge giving, special offerings, and memorials. Looks like we've got an increase in the Verizon budget coming. No additional income from non-pledge special offerings, and the Boys and Girls Club income that we receive will be staying flat for this year, for 2023. Now we get to the heart of why we're here, and it's really our pledges from the congregation have been decreasing steadily over the years, and that's really what prompted our alarm. Our budget continues to grow, our giving continues to decrease, and part of the reason for that is you can see here in the next slide. You can see our 2018 budget was 265, 2019 284, 2020 278, 2021 255, and our 2022 budget was 220. Our giving budget, the pledges for the last 5 years, they've been steadily decreasing. And part of that is our greatest givers, the greatest generation of our time, are the biggest bulk of giving for this church. The numbers say so. I don't know if we have a slide that actually, we don't want to talk about that yet. But if you go back, Kent had put some numbers together here also that really reflect this. 54% of our pledges come from the age group 75 to 99. 54%. The next two lower age groups, the 55 through 64 and the 65 through 74, that giving there is still 20% less than what our greatest generation give to this church. So you can see why we're alarmed, and why we want to just make a plea that the way we're handling our budget, the way we're covering our deficit is not sustainable. I don't want to alarm anybody, because we are in great financial health. It's just we need to plan now to make some changes, some course corrections, so we don't become the church like Melanie's home church, where they lose members and they lose giving and they lose their programs and they have to close. So we just wanted to kind of get this presented today so we can make some changes now, and age groups like I'm in, we need to start stepping up, and we need to become the next greatest generation of givers and contributors to this church. I just lost my screen up here. I don't know if I can get it back. So, there we go. So let's go. Next slide just shows our projected our budgeted expenses. Just like I talked about, they've increased over the last 5 years, and let's go to the next page. I think, yeah, there's a graph that kind of illustrates. So you can see the gap between the bottom line is pledges, the top line is the budget. We've been filling that gap with the interest off of our investments, and as you can see, the gap is growing. So it's not going to be sustainable. We either need to change some programming here. We need to increase our giving. Maybe the stock market will come back. We can't plan on that, but maybe it will, and everything will be fine. So basically just wanted to kind of present the trajectory of where we're heading right now. Get it in your minds. You can pray about it, think about it. When you get your pledge card, fill out your pledge card. Kind of keep this in mind. We're trying to change the trajectory of our budget here and our giving to kind of closely match these, so we can continue these programs. As a result, you can see there's 52,000 shortfall. That shortfall is what's over and above what our projected, the funds that we will take off of the endowments and our investments, which should contribute about $100,000 to our budget. We're still $52,000 short for 2023. So that's kind of the gap that we're trying to make up here right now. It doesn't seem like it's certainly not insurmountable, but it is something to be aware of, something to consider when we fill out our pledge cards. I think I'm about done. Questions? I'm sure you have all kinds of questions that you'll think of as soon as you get home. So. Thank you. Thanks, Kevin. Thanks. Peter? Oh, no, Jim. No, not that I know of. No crypto. Peter? Okay. Peter would like to see more visual graphs of the budget, past budgets and the deficits and where we're trending. Some more of those details. Yes. Yes, ma'am. Printed form of this. Absolutely. Yes, I think we can send out the printed forms of our budget.
Yeah, we should be able to send out the printed forms and slides, and I think this presentation is being recorded, and we're going to try to figure out how to share this presentation as well, because just people need to understand where we are. I'd personally like to thank John for getting up and handling this so well, because let's give a round of applause, because John did not draft this presentation and didn't find out he was presenting it until last night.
Can you tell?
Unfortunately, the person that was most familiar with the presentation and put it together became ill and wasn't able to be here today.
Anything else? All right, now Tim and, Molly.
What I'm trying to put into perspective is if Mark and I don't go out to eat, maybe 1 or 2 times a month, that allows us to increase our pledge. I mean, so think of how many times you buy coffee, the things, wants versus needs. I'm not asking anybody to turn their feet off or anything like that to support the church, but some of us have extra money that we don't have to spend.
And that's perfectly well said, Molly. And that's exactly what we're asking you to think about. If you don't go out to eat once a month or one less time a month and send that money to the church, it would go a long way toward eliminating that 52,000. There are a lot of us who can give more, and we will. There are others of us who are doing everything they can and okay too. We just ask you to think about what you're able to do, and if you're able to increase, we'd ask you to.
Yeah, this is a really uncomfortable conversation to have, as a member of a church, to ask anybody to increase their giving, because you don't know what everyone's going through. Melanie said it best in one of our meetings. She said the problem with churches is they just don't ask. She was talking about some specific grant or something that a church, maybe even our church, I don't recall the story completely, but where they got looked over, and when it came down to asking the actual question, why didn't they leave anything for us, or why didn't we get included in that? And the answer was, well, you didn't ask. So I thought that was pretty profound. So we're asking you to consider, and I just think it's important that you know the situation that we're in. Yes, we are financially sound. We just can't continue this trajectory. All right.
There are copies of the budget at both entrances, and Susan has pledge cards. So on your way out,
And thank you, Tim and Todd, for the turkey dinner. We're sorry we're delayed getting down there. So.